Schmazamania, as new reports indicate that WWE has no set plans for WrestleMania. All plans as of now are, quote, loose. It's exactly what you want to hear, just 50 some odd days away from the grandest event of the calendar year for that company and subsequently pro wrestling in totality. 50 some odd days away, and the company has loose plans. Don't worry, everybody. Hunter's got it all under control. He's cooking. Yes, he is. Clearly. 50 some odd days away, we have Jey Uso and Gunther set a rematch of a rematch of a rematch so we can yeet. And we have Charlie Flair getting her 86th championship. Slight exaggeration, but only slight. So those are the two matches. This Saturday, we'll get a couple Elimination Chamber winners. They'll go for champions, and we'll have a month left to try to ignite something between that. And then just about a month left, 12 more matches to make in 1 month. It won't feel last minute. We'll talk about it, guys. The new report's coming out. Nobody should be shocked. If you follow this channel, we never sugarcoat, we never BS. I tell my audience exactly what's happening in real time, not even tapping into any mastermind in the pro wrestling world. You don't have to tap into any rocket scientry here. This is all just basic common sense and logic. If you're following the product and you're using just a tad of common sense and logic, you can pretty much see what's going on here. Hunter's absolutely lost. Nobody knows what's going on. We don't know who's facing who. And instead of getting captivating stories and feuds ignited for Mania, we're getting heel versus heel matchups, face versus face matchups. The talent is telling you they don't even know what they are behind the scenes. They don't know if they're a heel, a face. The talent is telling you they're confused. The talent is telling you they're actually frustrated. That's the word that was sent to Fightful, right? The women's division anyway, frustrated over their Mania booking, or lack thereof. No transparency. Nobody knows what's going on. That's the talent. So yeah, if you're a fan and you're thinking to yourself, this doesn't really feel like Mania season, even if you want to give Hunter the benefit of the doubt, maybe you're a huge Hunter Hearst Helmsley supporter, that's awesome. I was a big Hunter supporter. Oh man, when he was the cerebral, I was doing the water spritzing. But in this role, dude's lost. This isn't NXT anymore. This isn't a couple two-tree golden years where you had Dusty Rhodes and William Regal and a lot of masterminds around you, and you're only a little 1 hour show on the WWE network. No, this is you're in a much bigger pond right now. And Hunter's absolutely lost. And this is the second year in a row that we've seen this type of Mania season, lackluster, thrown together matchups. At some point, the company is going to have to realize there's big changes that have to be made at the top. Because we cannot keep having WrestleMania seasons like this. That's what I'll say in the cold open teaser. We'll talk about it. Schmazamania. We'll talk all about it in today's Amped Up 2/27/25. We're also going to talk, sticking with that, it's unfortunate, but these are the reports, man. This is the stories of today. WWE, TKO Holdings, TKO, the parent company, announcing that WWE has declined in its revenue numbers for Q4. That's huge. You guys remember for years now, they've been boasting about record revenue. Boasting about it, right? And because of that, we've been hearing business is booming. Even though every other number and metric is going down. Ratings, merchandise, you name it. Sellouts down across the board this year from even last year. But because they were touting record revenue, even fans were spewing the same nonsense. They're fine, record revenue. Well, in Q4, WWE, it finally happened. I told you guys it was inevitable. When every other metric is going down, eventually you're going to feel it in the wallet. Eventually you're going to feel it in the revenue. And eventually they're not going to be able to boast record revenue. It just happened, guys. TKO Holdings has announced its Q4 earnings, and we're going to go over it. WWE takes a big hit. Can the UFC save them? I'll give you UFC's numbers as well to try to pull TKO out of that rut. But no longer can they tout record revenue. Those days are done. Now we can officially say they're down across the board. So what I've been telling you guys, man, Take no pride in doing it. It's not a pat on the back. I don't even like to be right in those scenarios. We'll talk all about it in today's Amped Up. We're also going to talk NXT. They took a little bit, they got an uptick in the number this week. Almost 800K, but at what cost? I'm glad you asked. At the expense of one of their top champions, unfortunately. We'll talk all about it. When you talk unfortunate, we got to talk about a former WWE female superstar that most of us were looking forward to this person's return. We feel there was unfinished biz. We feel that she had so much more to offer and so much more to accomplish. And she was just starting to get her rhythm, right? And her championship reign was, many would say, second to none. But unfortunately, via her recent post and recent situations, it does not look like she will ever be able to return to pro wrestling. We'll go over that story. That's all I'm going to give you in the cold open teaser. I'll tell you who that superstar is, what the post was, and what the scenario is, a situation that unfortunately we might have seen the last of this person in pro wrestling in general. And again, when it comes to health, there's not too much more. You can't really, it's not like, oh, I changed my mind. We'll talk about it. And sticking with female talent, another top WWE main roster star. I'll give you guys the reason we are being told, and you should not be shocked. It's what we've heard time and time again. A reason why you have not seen her back yet. And I can't comprehend this. But then all I got to do is take a moment to just remember what we're talking about. And I'm totally not shocked. BC, so many questions, man. We need, yes, that's why it's called a cold open teaser. Swig of coffee, no opening signatures. Take a moment, swig your beverage as well. Sit back, max, relax while BC drops the facts. Take a swig of your coffee. I got what do I got here? My double shot, triple pump pistachio latte, which for some reason tastes like a hazelnut. So, but it said pistachio. I ripped the tag off, but it did say. Anyway, that's my own issues over here with my Starbucks people. Swig of coffee, let's jump right into it. And what we'll do, guys, is we'll talk some AEW Dynamite as well. I was able to catch some NXT and some AEW. I'll tell you my thoughts on everything I did witness. So you're going to get my amplified, full honesty on NXT and AEW from this week. And again, I do have the NXT number as well. So let's just jump right into it. We'll go over some of the quicker stories here. We'll go over some of the top talent in the female division and why you have not seen them back. And again, one of them, I don't think you're going to, unfortunately. So we're going to coffee. Let's do this. Amped up. We rolling. 44 dive. Let's go. All right. We amped up. So we'll start with Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch, from what we are being told in latest reports, is that she's been ready. She has signed the new contract. The I's have been dotted. The T's have been crossed. Becky, ready to come back, was ready for the Rumble. The mom, Becky Lynch. That's right. I said the mom, not the man. The mom. But she is ready to come back. And the word that we are getting, and again, we should not be shocked at all, Hunter Hearst Helmsley has nothing creatively for her. Same reason just recently, you could say this for so many talents, but even just recently, Alexa had to wait for months. She was telling us, hey, it's not my decision. I don't know what's going on. Alexa had to tell you that. And they finally brought her back as a last-second replacement. Somebody else was supposed to be in there. I think it was Shotzi Blackheart. Shotzi was going to be in there, and last second, Hunter goes, let's throw Alexa in there. So that's the only reason you're even seeing Alexa. She got probably the loudest pop of that female Rumble. Alexa got one of the pops of the night. And because of that, catapulted her into the chamber. But, what's her creative? The fact that they had nothing for many months. The fact that they put her as a last-second replacement into the Rumble. I'm not holding a lot of stock with Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And you see the glitching. It's almost like they're just going to put her right back with the Wyatts. Now, a lot of people are like, BC, I thought you would like that. You loved Bray and Alexa. Yes, it doesn't work with Hunter. At least it hasn't. I'm hoping that changes. But he doesn't know what to do with the Wyatts. Guys, it worked because Bray and Vince, no matter how much they butted heads, and Bruce Pritchard, because Bruce Pritchard was some of the, whether you know this or not, like to admit it or not, Bruce Pritchard was pivotal. Mark Calloway will tell you this, pivotal in The Undertaker, in his rise to fame, in his stardom. Bruce Pritchard, back then, he was an on-air character too called Brother Love. But he worked hand in hand with Undertaker. Dare I say, and Mark Calloway will say the same thing, The Undertaker is not what he is today without Bruce Pritchard kind of literally just kind of culminating that, molding The Undertaker. Even more so than Paul Bear. Same thing with Bray Wyatt. And they would butt heads. But Bruce Pritchard worked hand in hand with getting that to the point where the Wyatts were the number one rated segment on Monday Night Raw week in and week out. Whether people liked it or not or complained about Supernatural being corny, it was the number one rated segment every week. Most of the time anyway. There was a few instances, many instances where it was booted to 2, and sometimes even 3. There were some Roman segments and whatnot, but for the most part, yeah. That's when it works. It's when you have the right people, whether they're butting heads or not, the creativity is flowing in a better direction than what it is in a situation like this, where Hunter and unfortunately Bo Dallas, they're not working like a Vince and a Bruce would with a Bray. And Hunter is lost with this. So you're seeing the most weirdest of remember the way they debuted, laying everybody out in gorilla position? And then all of a sudden, they seemed pretty average after that, right? They're just in weird 6-man matchups or tag matchups. Then all of a sudden, they go into this weird feud with Final Testament that should have been really good. But instead, the payoff was like a month later on a Monday Night Raw, in the middle of a Raw. Howdy's getting powder to the eyes and getting pinned. 1, 2, 3. Uncle Howdy. Supernatural Howdy. Powder was the kryptonite. And after that, you didn't hear another thing. Wyatts were off TV. Dexter Lumis had a singles match like 2 weeks later. That was it. They were off TV. Final Testament was as well. They showed up on some backstage scenes once in a while. The Wyatts completely off. A month later, Karrion Kross comes out of Adam Pearce's office and says, I just found out the Wyatts got moved to SmackDown. Like Karrion was looking... So they beat the Wyatts, and then Karrion was still looking for the Wyatts. You would think the Wyatts would be pissed. They used baby powder and pinned them and made them look like idiots. But no, the Wyatts quietly got moved over to SmackDown after losing that match and then being off TV for a month and a half. And even being moved to SmackDown, you haven't even seen or heard them. You just see some glitches with Alexa Bliss. So everyone's like, this is going to be good. Is it? Has Hunter showed you that he can provide good material with any of this? I'm just asking, man. I mean, he can't even book his champions correctly. Look at Braun Breaker. Braun heard crickets this past Monday because Braun Breaker is having a heel versus heel match with Dominic. The most I'm going to give you is he's a tweener, begging for barks from the crowd, but then he's getting in everyone's face like AJ Styles backstage. What are you? Are you a tweener? Are you a heel? Are you supposed to be a face? He's in there with Dominic. He beats up all of Judgment Day, and Braun Breaker gets crickets as a reaction because nobody knows what he is. Sound familiar? That's the reports we're hearing from a lot of the talent. They're pissed off. They're frustrated. They don't know what they are anymore. Hunter has no transparency. Shinsuke Nakamura walks around every single Friday night, just in the shadows, in the weeds. Somebody's cutting a promo, and way in the back, it's Shinsuke, the eavesdropper. What is That's for 2 months. That's all we've been getting from Shinsuke. You don't think you're going to get 3 or 4 dudes going for his U.S. title at Mania? You think it's honestly going to be one-on-one? I hope. I do. He doesn't know what he's doing with any of these people. Look at Gunther. Gunther, this is the worst Gunther has been booked ever. Vince booked Gunther 96% better than Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Guy's holding a title. It might as well be a pile of garbage. You know, in the morning, you're taking out the trash. It's basically what the title is, right? He's just lugging it around for no reason. It's like an anchor. It's more of a detriment than anything of a token of success. I could keep going on and on. I could go on and on and on. And I'm supposed to have faith that Alexa Bliss is going to be booked correctly with the Wyatts. When they already have a female talent in that group, Nikki Cross, what has she done? It's, I don't know. Put them in a tag team, BC. Nikki and Alexa could be in a tag team. Great. Yeah. And then they'll win the titles on a Monday Night Raw in the middle of a show. And then a month or two later, they'll lose the titles on a Monday Night Raw. That's a tag team division. Alexa and Nikki. Because that'll be fun. Could be, should be. Unfortunately, nobody in that company has given us any reason to say that it would be. It's the opposite. So, Alexa Bliss finds out last second. Well, here you are at Becky Lynch. Same thing, man. She's been waiting months. She's being told, just sit tight. We have nothing. We brought back Charlie, and she's getting the title at Mania. We're going to put Alexa into the row. We'll think of something. So she's getting paid just to be the mom, Becky Lynch, right now. Get your money, but at some point she's going to want to go and kick ass. I'm not saying I ever saw the utmost in Becky. I was never a big supporter of Becky, but I'm proud of her. I'm glad that she got the shine that she got. She did that with hard work and just doing the right things, man. Being in the right situations and knowing what to do. Being prepared when those situations arise. So I'll never play or hate for that. Get your dime. But if I have Becky Lynch on my roster and she's ready to go and I have a creative pen, if you think I'm just having her sit home, no, I'm putting her in some fun storylines. And that's a difference, right? Between a real creator and somebody that's just lost. A phony creator. Right? But BC's got the point. I'm having fun. I'm booking give me everybody you got, man. We're going to start doing storylines. And then you have people that just it's overwhelming and they're like, stay home. I don't know I have no idea. Just sit tight. I know we said we'll bring you back around Rumble, maybe around Mania. Maybe Chamber. Maybe we'll have you do a run in. Becky Lynch is sitting home from the latest report because Hunter just has no creative for her. Moving on. This is unfortunate, man. Another name you haven't seen in a while, but for totally different circumstances, and unfortunately it does not look like you will see her back. Former NXT Women's Champion, over 400 days? 413, 423, something like that. Was it the longest reign, or did... She had the longest reign at the time, I know that, for the NXT Championship. Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose, of course, was released by the company many moons ago because she was doing her own little side hustle, right? She was making a lot of good money. And Shawn Michaels didn't per se like that. So they gave a little ultimatum, shut that all down and continue to be a WWE superstar the right way, according to them. And she just didn't want to, man. She was making that money and she felt, no, that's not what I want to do right now. So Shawn's like, all right, you called my bluff and now I have to lay down the sledgehammer. And Shawn Michaels released her, or had Hunter, the company, release her. So Mandy Rose was cut short. Her title reign ended and she was gone. And everyone was like, whoa, hold up. She was just finding, Stella just got her groove, man. She was really coming into her own. She had momentum. When Mandy Rose first came up, wasn't she like one of those tough enough contestants? Maybe even she won it. But she was a contestant for sure, and she ended up getting the gig. And everyone just laughed. Oh, here comes another blonde. Vince is going to push her to the moon and whatnot. No talent, this, that. And all of a sudden, she started to show you, wait, there's something there. And then that whole thing with Otis really got over. And then she goes over to NXT and she just starts slaying it with a group called Toxic Attraction. That's what they were called, right? Toxic Attraction. And that group became uber successful. I'm not just talking wins and losses. Just fans were going, hey, that's a real group. That's something to take a second look at and go, yeah, that's pretty badass. And with Mandy Rose at the helm and how long she was holding that title and then gone. So a lot of fans were like, dude, give it time. She'll be back. Right? Every time the Rumble came back the last 2 years, yep, bro, Mandy's, there's a good chance. Mandy. Still young, right? 33, 34-ish. I think exactly, actually, 34 or 34. She started 7 years ago when she was, I believe, 27. So yeah, pitting around 34. So still young enough. But unfortunately, right, that all of that setup is to what she recently posted. I'm not going to give you the whole post. It was several paragraphs, but Mandy is saying that due to health issues, coming back to, I'll give you one quote for sure. She says, a pro wrestling return wouldn't make much sense because of the wear and tear on the body. And what she has, guys, is arthritis in her spine, C6, 7, and 8. And degeneration, not X, degeneration in her disc. So her back is messed up in a few different ways. And to continue to wrestle, her docs are saying that this doesn't get better. We can treat it. We can make you feel better. You'll be able to walk to your 40, 50, 60, 70 plus and for the most part be all right. Not without discomfort, especially later on, but you'll be good. But to go back to wrestling when you have all these issues, it doesn't get better. She's talking about tingling in her fingers and numbness in the arms. And then you hear the spinal issues that she has, the back issues. And again, her quote, the pro wrestling return wouldn't make sense because of the wear and tear on the body. So, I mean, that's her decision easily made for her, unfortunately. And on top of that, guys, this was a public post, so WWE will absolutely get wind of this. If they were ever going to bring her back, this will absolutely be front and center. WWE is not bringing in this 30-some-odd-year-old who already has issues with the C6, 7, and 8 and degeneration, wear and tear on her discs. Somebody who's already got tingling and numbness, they're not going to be like, yeah, come on back. We'll put you back on the road. Start touring. We'll start you on the European tour. WWE is now, even if Mandy ever decided to try to give it one more go, if you think World Wrestling Entertainment's going to go like, yeah, come on back. Maybe a Rumble appearance years from, I don't know. I mean, it's not definitive that you're not seeing her again in WWE or in pro wrestling, but that's very serious issues. And she's basically telling you outright, it wouldn't even make sense to come. The back's muffed up to the point where my arms are numb and tingling. 34. She's making all this money elsewhere anyway, many different ways. So, yeah, it's unfortunate because that's one of those wrestlers that I really thought, man, there's so much more she has to accomplish because she was just starting to find that rhythm. She didn't even get to go to the main roster after that legendary NXT run, because that's what it was, man. Came out of nowhere, caught everybody by storm. Her group was badass. She was having a badass title run. Her reign was becoming kick-ass to another level. Drops the title, gone from the company, not coming back. It's wild. It's wild. It's the storylines with Otis on the main roster, and you're just like, oh man, Mandy's got a future. So it just sucks, you know. It's in that realm of just some wrestlers that it's wild how short their time was in the company when you thought they had all the potential or all the means to do some really big stuff. You know, names like Alex Riley, who looked like he was going to be one of the biggest stars in the company. Now we know that he had some beef with Cena, or Cena just did not like Riley, and that was most likely the golden shovel that put an end to Alex Riley. But even Ted DiBiase Jr., you know, legacy worked because of all three, Orton, Rhodes, and DiBiase Jr. DiBiase Jr. was good. He had a presence to him. In a low-key way, but damn, there was this demeanor, and he's gone. It was like, what? Randy continued on. Cody reached the ultimate of success, founded a different company, the man now in WWE, and Ted DiBiase Jr., I don't know if most would recognize him walking by in a supermarket. It's just wild like that. Yeah, man, I don't know. Remember Karma? Do you guys remember Karma, the female wrestler? She like entered the Rumble one year, like, oh, this is gonna, whoa, the whole division is shook up. And she basically wasn't even seen after that. Signed a contract. She was gone. We all know Ryback. Ryback was well on his way to being one of the biggest stars. Ryback got in his own way. Started thinking he was like bigger than the company. Started like a lot of people backstage were just rubbed the wrong way. And before you knew it, Ryback was gone. Ryback recently stating that, he has no more bitterness to WWE. He got that out of the system. He wishes them well. He's moved on. But I don't know if would Ryback work in 2025? I don't know. But it's just like, my point is, it's just like a bunch of names that you thought were going to be like really big or had the potential, and they just fizzled out real quick. Mandy Rose. I don't know, guys. But unfortunate news. But it does not look like Mandy Rose will be returning. Mandy Rose's career looks done, but it's more about the health at that point. So we wish her the absolute best. Just get better. Get that back rocking. So you can walk at 75, 85, down that beach. She's 85. She still has all the websites. She probably still look good. You ever see Martha Stewart? Martha Stewart's like 160. Slight exaggeration. Martha Stewart still looks. Jennifer Aniston, right? Isn't she like near 60? Something like that. Or maybe she already is. She's beautiful too. A lot of females like that. Where do you guys want to go? Well, let's switch gears over to WWE and their revenue. Let's just talk, say it like it is, man. Let's not waste any more time on it. So WWE's record revenue is all you would hear about, right? That's all you kept hearing about. That's the big selling point. When anybody is WWE failing, or are they a success? Does it feel like they're a company like they once were? And everybody likes to point to record revenue. Well, of course they are. The business is booming. This is the best pro wrestling has ever been. That's what you start to hear, right? Rock tries to tell you wrestling's cool again. That's his quote. Cody tells you this is the best era. It's even better than Attitude. Hunter tells you the Hunter Hearst Helmsley Netflix era. I call it the mutual respect fan participation era. That it's the best it's ever been. When all of the talent and the guy in charge needs to keep it both, right, Rock and Hunter, they need to keep reminding you how good business is. They need to keep telling you how cool wrestling is and that this is the best era. When they need to keep reminding you and telling you that, it's probably not true. They're selling you a narrative. It's a shtick at this point. Because we would just know it. We would feel it. You don't have to keep telling us. In the Attitude Era, Vince and Stone Cold, Rock, Hunter, Kane, Taker, Angle, Michaels, they didn't have to tell us, this is the best era ever. They didn't do that. We were just living through the best era ever. If you're trying to sell anybody that this era beats not just the Attitude Era, this era wouldn't light a candle to ruthless aggression. The Golden Era would powerbomb this era. But because of record revenue, the company gets away with it because the numbers are huge. Huge. It's huge. Everything is huge. In WWE, the numbers are booming, right? So fans get it twisted. Fans start acting like they're on the payroll. Business is booming, man. You just don't even know. Look at the numbers. Okay, we did. Revenue is booming. Creativity is declining. The entertainment is basically non-existent now. So business, right? Business is booming in terms of financials. Revenue is booming. The creative side, the entertainment side, what fans are concerned with and what we should be looking for, that's not booming. That's on the opposite. That's going into the opposite direction, right? That's a downward spiral trend. But for months and even years now, revenue has been upticking. And I tell you guys all the time, like a broken record, there's many reasons for that. They're cashing in on major television contracts or now streaming. Billions. Fox $1 billion, right? They for the last several years, they've been cashing in everything that Vince built for decades. He decided to cash in. 9 point something semi billion dollars on a cash in, sells it to Endeavor. And they're just cashing in on the WWE logo, on everything that WWE is and it was built upon. They're cashing in on everything that WWE is. Cashing in on it. The name alone is getting them one deal after another. That's called cashing in. Liquidate it. Great for now. Everybody's getting, right? Everyone's wallet is getting fat. Not fans. All the suits and ties, their wallets are getting fat. That's great. Eventually, that's going to run out if the other side of the equation is not getting the proper attention, time, effort, resources put into it. The creativity, actually entertaining your audience to not just keep them, but bring in new crowds, new audiences, new fans. Instead, they're not doing that. They're losing the fans that have been there, loyal to them. At that point, they're just hoping that enough new kids drag their parents out to sell those arenas. Hope you guys are keeping up. There's revenue, and then there's the creative entertainment side. But when you liquidate, and you're selling just everything that the WWE name stands for, and you're getting the $1 billion TV contracts, Fox $1 billion, Netflix $5 billion. You have countries like Saudi Arabia giving you $55 million per show. If you run 2, that's over $100 million for 2 shows. Next year, they're running 3 because it's 1 this year. So next year, every other pay-per-view, basically, PLE, will be in Saudi. $55 million a pop. And they got smart. They're like, we liquidated in the U.S. the last couple of years. Let's start going more to other countries. Let's go to Europe. Conquer London or Germany or France. And everywhere in between, because they haven't got enough WWE. They'll pay extraordinary amounts of cash just to show up because we don't come here often. And that's what these countries are doing. They're going to these. So that's another reason. There's so many reasons why you saw record revenue. But if it seemed like the product was stale and actually sucked, it did. But it was at the right time where people were coming out from everything from a few years ago. They wanted to be entertained. They didn't care. A couple of years of not going anywhere. Live events were a big thing. That's where the wheel started in motion for Netflix to bring live programming. WWE was the perfect fit. So they took a gamble and paid $5 billion. They're already regretting that. I'll go over that in a few minutes. I'll go over those recent numbers because that's downright sad if you're Netflix and WWE. But it's nobody's fault but WWE. I feel bad for Netflix because they took the gamble hoping for the best. They didn't understand. They have a guy in charge, Hunter Helmsley, that doesn't know how to be creative. Or just can't juggle all of this wrestling every week. So what happened, guys, is they recorded all this record revenue. And that only goes so far if the other side of the equation isn't being attended to. They gave up on the creativity. They gave up entertaining the audience. And boom! Q4 numbers were just released by TKO Group Holdings. And the fourth quarter results. You ready for this? I got a few more stuff. How do I only have a sip left? Listen to that. You hear that? That's 1 sip left. I gotta savor that. I don't know how that happened. Well, yeah. Well, actually, we were prepping up for this. 1 swig was like half the whole coffee. I probably shouldn't have done that. Where was I? Oh, yes. You guys are ready for this? So the fourth quarter for TKO Group Holdings. UFC is up 22% to $344 million. $344 million. WWE revenue declined 10% to $298 million. WWE is blaming timing in regards to rights and programming. So WWE was quick to offer an excuse. $298 million, down 10%. They have finally announced a decline in revenue. They are no longer, you knew this day was coming, they are no longer touting record revenue. I told you this was happening, guys. I prepared you for that last year, 2 years ago, because I told you what was happening. You can only record record revenue for so long. You can only sustain it and go the distance if you're bringing in more viewers. If you're captivating the audience you have and they're bringing in other casuals to make them part of that crowd that shows up every week. But if you're not producing must-see TV, they can miss 2, 3, 6 months, come back and go, oh, it's the same garbage. Nothing's changed. 10% to 298. TKO as a complete company recorded a 5% increase. You see why, right? 22% UFC is up. WWE is down 10. If it was not for the UFC kicking ass, TKO would have had a decline in their numbers in revenue. If UFC recorded a 16% spike, 16% uptick, that's good. TKO would have still been down. But because 22%, they recorded a 5% uptick. WWE did not pull their own weight in the fourth quarter. Down 10%. This is big, guys. For years, this is what the company has been touting, and because of that, they haven't given a damn about the creative. They don't care if they're entertaining. They don't care if they've become stagnant. They don't care if we are complaining about it, bitching about it, moaning, ranting. They don't care because business is booming financially. Now, for the first time, business did not boom financially. It went the other way. That's huge. Is this enough to force them to finally look at the product and make the necessary changes and make it better, make it creative, make it fun, make it intriguing, make it actually entertaining? I don't know if this is enough. One more quarter of decline, maybe. But again, their excuse is WWE is blaming timing in regards to rights and programming. The timing of the Raw deal with Netflix. They wanted that, all of the $5 billion to be included in this. That's not how it works. You can't put all your eggs into one basket, man. You're touting record revenue, but you're equating one thing, right? This $5 billion deal was everything to them. They know that. And this is what I tried to tell you guys, man. If you're losing the viewership, eventually these conglomerates are not going to give WWE any money. Look what happened with Fox with $1 billion, and they were not happy with the numbers. 2 point some odd, 2-1, 2-2. They were not getting the return they were hoping for. So they said months in advance they are not doing any more business. They're going to wrap up the contract. And then they're just cutting ties because Fox was not happy. So that's why they didn't get that $1 billion. They came across the right people. Netflix wanted to do this live week-to-week thing. They're trying it out. They're bringing in boxing. They're going to do some NFL games. WWE found themselves in the perfect situation. There is a conglomerate about to give us $5 billion. And within a year's time, if he's not already, you're going to hear Nick Khan complaining and bitching, just like he did with Fox. And NBC Universal with the USA deal, the last one they had. He's going to start complaining because it's good now. You got $5 billion. But in a year's time, when you're trying to look for that new revenue and it's not coming in, he's going to start saying, I think we were undervalued. I think we got cheapened out on our deal. I think we were taken advantage of. That's what he said about Fox and USA, right? But those were more than adequate deals. They gave you $1 billion for a shitty 2.1 product. 2.1 viewership? That ain't worth $1 billion, bro. And he threw them under the bus. Nick Khan's like, oh, I think we should have restructured a deal. Yeah, because now it no longer suits you because you're not getting any money from anywhere else. Netflix gave them $5 billion. That fed them for a minute, right? Everyone was happy with that. Wait 1 year's time. One in this 10-year deal. You're going to start hearing Nick Khan go, because that's your $5 billion, bruh. For the next 10 years, you ain't getting that TV deal. So what do they have to fall back on to give them record revenue? There is nothing. They fell 10% because they didn't get all of this TV deal. That shows you how wrapped up these companies are. If they don't get that big conglomerate deal worth billions, these companies are not as big financially as you would have thought. I doubt very much if the viewership keeps declining, you're going to get a deal like this ever again. Ever. The only reason somebody gave him $5 billion was because Netflix wanted to really go all in on this new concept, and because it was 10 years. This ain't just $5 billion, $1 billion per year, guys. 5 years. No. 10 years. They have an opt-out after 5. They may take it, Netflix, because they're not happy with this. Did you guys hear the new numbers? Maybe I'll take the last swig now of this coffee, and I'm going to tell you guys the numbers for WWE Raw. And this is... If there was somebody to say they knew this was going to happen, I guess it would be BC in the unit, because everyone else was like, what? That can't be accurate. Oh, it is. In fact, maybe not. I think they're inflating these poor numbers. Check this out. I saved a little, but just a little bit, man, just in case. So WWE Raw has plateaued on Netflix. That's the word going around in many articles and behind the scenes. That's how a lot of the suits and ties are looking at it, unfortunately, in Netflix. It has plateaued is the word they're using. They're now averaging 2.8 million global viewers. That is down from 5.9 semi. That is more than half the audience in just a couple of months. 1 month plus, month and a half. It's February. They debuted or January. So in just a month and a half, they have lost more than half their audience globally. And they're now at a 2.8. That sounds like something you would get in the U.S. households, right? Like Fox for SmackDown was pulling in 2.1, 2.2. On a really good week, if The Rock was there, maybe 2.4, 2.5. A 2.8 globally. And it's a 1.1 million U.S. viewership average. 1.1. That is down from 1.6 USA cable television. 1.6 was the average. Just under 1.5 to 1.6. Now it's a 1.1 average U.S. total viewership. They've lost 500,000 viewers. Netflix traditionally only releases numbers for their top 10 shows, and Raw is already about to drop off. So that tells us that we might not even get Raw numbers in the future. Netflix won't even release because they won't even be in the top 10. And mind you guys, this is important. This is a huge asterisk. These numbers are accumulated over a 7-day period for Netflix, not like cable television, where it's just that viewership live on that night. Netflix numbers are for a 7-day period of viewing in terms of hours. So that is why it's even more damaging for Netflix and WWE. This is across 7 days, and they're only getting a 1.1 mil average. Do you know how many of that's not even live? Probably a couple 100,000. That's a problem. You want your audience to think of this as must-see TV. You want them to tune in live. You know it's Monday night. I know it's Monday. You know what that means. But across 7 days, a 1.1. And globally across 7 days, 2.8. And this product is not telling you it's going to go up. Now, it's Mania season. That's the only thing they have going for them. Sometimes you see like a little bit of roller coaster in the numbers because you are getting casuals. But we're starting to see this Mania season since last month. It's not happening. And could it be because this Mania season is so confusing, it's so lackluster, it's so non-existent that even casual fans have already noticed? So it's like, oh, this is bad. I'm not even coming back. It's interesting. But this is bad, man, for WWE and for Netflix. But WWE as TKO Holdings, to drop 10% and be beholden to this Netflix deal, because if not for that, this company wouldn't want to know where it is. If they only got a $1 billion deal, for instance, from cable and not the 5, where would they be? Would this be a 25 to 30% drop? Possibly. It's wild, man. And then Netflix, the viewership, they were hoping for way more than this. But to lose this many, and as a company, WWE on a Monday, a 7-day period, not just Monday night, in 7 days, only 1.1 average. At least on cable, it was the 1.5, but that was drastically going down as well. I truly believe that would be down to about 1.4 average bare minimum right now. So they were losing no matter what. Wild, man. And it's sad because so much of this can easily be amended, right? It could be fixed if you just had the proper people in creative giving us interesting storylines, top-notch, larger-than-life characters, feuds that we're intrigued by, pay-per-views we need to, can't wait to whip the wallet out. Which credit card do you want? Because we have to see these matchups. None of that, man. We're feeling none of that. It's Mania season, and what do we have? Talking about Charlie getting another title, and we're talking about yeeting. It's so weird, man. And it's just it's avoidable. But Hunter's just too busy just being in front of the camera. He wants to be a star, man. He wants to be the superstar. He wants everyone to know it's his company. He gets to play Vince McMahon now. The problem is he ain't Vince McMahon, bro. And I know the last 10 years before Vince kicked rocks, it was bad television. No question. Vince stopped caring. He was playing with the paralegals in his office. I get it. But Vince at one point was a genius. And what he did for decades was that nobody could compete for good reason. Well, Bischoff did. WCW did for a small amount of time, but they couldn't last with Vince. Vince knew who to put around him and what ideas let seep through, even when he was against it, like Attitude Era. Vince did not want to go that route, but he did listen. He did have Vince Russo to kind of filter off one another, and they made the right choices. And boom, they beat WCW, and that was their best era easily. Got them to a point where he could sell for $9 billion. But Hunter's playing Vince McMahon. That's the problem. He's not Vincent Kennedy McMahon, dude. So he can walk around and be Papa H, but what are you really giving to the main roster? You did something with NXT for a couple of years on Vince's money, by the way, on his dime, his credit cards. Vince paid for all of that. And he put the right team around him. But what on the main roster has Hunter done? Nothing. And this is getting old. And now their revenue is even going down. So now what can they tout? Merchandise is down nearly 40%. 40%. Even with the Yeet Master and his Yeet shirts. 40%. You're not hearing sellouts left and right like you were even just last year, or are you? No. And when you do, 6 of them have already been disputed. 6 of them already. The city saying no, but there was thousands that were actually not. Like, what do you? That was not a sellout. Sellouts down, merchandise down, ratings drastically, unfortunately down, miserably down. Revenue down. Creativity, man. Put together shows we want to see. This is not fun right now, and you know it. It just happens to be BC's the only one to be honest about it, right? Because we all just want to talk about all the great things that are happening and be excited about it because we love pro wrestling and we want to see all these companies succeed. But I can't lie about it, man. Nobody's having actual fun with any of this. Sucks. The product sucks right now. It sucks worse than it ever has. You watch Monday Night Raw and nothing makes sense. Ludwig Kaiser is beating Pete Dunne Butch. They're both heels. Why would a heel pin a heel? Dakota Kai is being pinned by Val for the second time. Face pinning a face for the second time in a month. Why? Io versus Rhea next week for the championship. Face versus face. Why? Meanwhile, the report that Fightful is breaking that the female talent alone is upset because they don't know if they're a face or a heel. And it looks like they have nothing set for Mania. And yet Hunter keeps booking them the same way, despite knowing publicly about this article that was put out by Fightful in this report, which also states that female talents have spoken to Sean Ross and said, can you find out if I'm a face or a heel internally? Because I have no idea. You watch a Monday night, you watch this past Monday and you tell me any of that made sense. Braun Breaker, right? So you have Dakota being pinned by Val, face over a face. Butch being pinned by Ludwig, heel over a heel. Braun Breaker pinning Dominic Mysterio, or no, DQ'd. Heel over a heel. And then that same heel Braun Breaker taking out all of Judgment Day. Io and Rhea face versus face next week for the title. It never ends. Not long ago, you saw Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins face versus face. You saw Cody and CM Punk in a heated promo face-to-face. Face and a face. Doesn't end. Cody's taking on Kevin Owens that first just a few months ago before Kevin turned heel. That was a face versus a face. And then they hugged each other afterwards. And then you wonder why every metric is going down and fans are like, no, thank you. And it doesn't feel like Mania season. And I'm the only one to call any of this out. I'm the only one saying, guys, this product sucks. And if we come together and be honest about it, we can make it better. Make pro wrestling great again. I'm not asking too much. Just takes effort. Time. Resources. It takes people giving a damn, giving a shit to make this better. No, I take no pride in saying, oh, everything I told you guys was going to happen. It is. Pat on the back time. We were right again, unit. Salute. No, I don't like seeing these numbers. I don't like talking about all this garbage. It's fucking Mania season, man. I want to be excited about this shit. I want to have fun with it again, be intrigued by it, talk positively so we can all have a good time talking about what we love. This sucks. And the numbers are now telling you more and more, guys. Netflix releasing their numbers, and they are drastically bad. Revenue has been recorded for Q4. It is drastically bad. It's everything I told you guys. If I was saying all this for months and years, and the numbers are booming, then I'd be like, all right, dude, I'm to check you. I'm going to go become a bowler or something, right? I'm going to go play pickleball. Probably shouldn't be talking pro wrestling. But no. Every time I tell you guys and I preach this, the facts back it up immediately. It's because we know what we're talking about on this channel, man. We're the definition of smart fan, but in a good way, right? There's a bad, smart fans. And then there's smart fans. We just use common sense and logic before we even have to tap into facts or going into the history books or researching. Just common sense and logic will get us halfway. Unreal, man. So that's the whole WWE front. Revenue, for the first time in years, no longer is it booming. They have recorded a decline. So it begins, right? And numbers for Raw in the toilets. Let's go to... I need more coffee. Let's go to NXT. I didn't get to see the whole show just like Dynamite, but I was able to see some of both shows, so I'm going to give you my amplified thoughts on them. First up, NXT, and this is really sad. We talked about Mandy Rose earlier. This is just bad. If what we are hearing is indeed true, this is not good for the ladies, for NXT, for WWE as a whole, for the fans. So it was reported that Julia and Stephanie this past Tuesday night, they're going to go title for title. They did a segment where Julia comes out and her and Stephanie set up this title versus title matchup. And everybody was like, why are they... That's in Manhattan, correct? Is that next week? I forgot when that is now. I think that's in Manhattan. So that's imminent. So that leads me to believe that what we're hearing is true, unfortunately. But Julia and Stephanie set up this title versus title matchup. And you're like, what? That makes no sense. until we get word of what's going on, one of these ladies is actually injured, we are being told, like legit. And to take it a step further, the initial reports did not say which, but more insight into this revealed that it looks like it is indeed Julia. Julia is injured. Stephanie will become a double champion. Not a two-time, because that's a separate occasion. No, a double champion. She is winning Julia's championship. That's why I'm first of all, it sucks for this is one of the best female talents in the world. Right before she even got to WWE, she was rated 1, 2, and 3 in all of the lists for the last several years. She's consistently one of the top rated females. She gets to WWE. She finally collects an NXT championship. Not finally, she hasn't even been there that long, but she collects an NXT championship. And then a few weeks later, we find out this. So this absolutely sucks across the board. All these awesome matches she was in line for and that the fans were going to be able to catch. And now we don't know. It's an undisclosed injury. How are they going to play this? Is Stephanie going to beat her real quick so she doesn't injure? Is it an injury that she can still wrestle, but she needs to get it taken care of, like a surgery? Because they're clearing her to have this match. Or are they? Again, is it going to be like, oh, the bell rings and all of a sudden she gets stunned by a shot from Stephanie, right? Stephanie, catches her and boom, that's it. 1, 2, 3. But if you follow this channel, you know exactly why Stephanie is getting this and nobody else, because they wanted to put Stephanie at the top of this division. The only reason she wasn't is because they were able to land Julia at the same time. So I told you guys when Julia won her title, watch, Stephanie is going to win the North American. And sure enough, Stephanie simultaneously wins the North American. But now you hear that Julia is possibly injured, and then you get this weird title versus title. It makes more sense. Stephanie becoming a double champ. They want to make her the dominant female in that division. It was her and Julia. And I honestly believe Shawn Michaels was just torn between which one do I go full throttle with. He ended up choosing Julia. If this injury holds up, then Stephanie will become that spot. I'm glad they're not doing like this stupid tournament for the title. We see it too many times. Title gets vacated, tournament. No, just get it. I don't want to see 4, 5, 6 weeks of scripted, rehearsed wrestling matches for the sake of finding out who the best is or who's going to get a title. No, man, let's take care. If the worst case, put them all in a battle royal if you got to do a multi-person schmoz. But let's just find out in a night who's the champion so we could set up really fun storylines. That's what we need more of. Otherwise, it's lazy booking. Their big storyline for the title is 4, 5, or 6 weeks of a tournament. That's easy booking. That's not fun for anybody. Put the title on somebody and let's start a real storyline that we can be captivated by. So I do like that they're doing this interesting concept, title versus title. That's going to make it way more must-see than a silly tournament. That's overused. It's redundant. Also on this show, because there was more, believe it or not, the Hardy Boys returned on this week's NXT. Hardy's return, they defeated No Quarter Catch. Santino then returned, declared a tag title match between Faxium and the Hardys. NXT tag title holders, Faxium, I'll get it right. And the Hardys, which are TNA tag title holders. So it's only going to be for the TNA championships, though, guys, not the NXT tag titles. And I think that's Manhattan as well coming up. So Hardys, Faxium, Santino Marella with a big pop for the small crowd that was there, but a decent pop for sure. So it was good to see it's Santino out there with the Hardys. It's hard to believe that they're all in TNA. A lot of us just don't or can't catch TNA on a weekly basis, so you forget that all these names are there, man. Elijah just showed up to TNA, had a concert with Joe Hendry. Gail Kim is running that women's division, or behind the scenes, Gail Kim. Jazz, remember Jazz, old school Attitude Era? She's over there now working behind the scenes. Wild. So the Hardys, so good to see them. That was wild, man. Hardy's back in WWE. Really weird. You could tell they were really soaking it all in. It's pretty cool. It's not a one and done, too. Lola Vice, destroyed Ariana Grace. Of course, Santino was there, so you got to figure Ariana was going to be used. Lola using all of her assets to annihilate Ariana. Roxy promo with Jordynne Grace, even though Roxy is main roster now, going to the chamber. She's kind of teasing that, maybe she'll come over to NXT and go for that championship again. But her and Jordynne Grace, good chemistry. 799,000 viewership, in case you guys are wondering. So they went up over 100,000 viewers this week. So I don't know if that's the Hardys or people interested in the Julia Stephanie thing, maybe. Did Santino Marella bring him in? Who knows? But over 100,000 viewership, 799. So close to that 800,000. Now, flipping the script over to AEW, I was not able to catch all of it, but from what I did catch, here's what we'll go over. This is Dynamite, the 26th of February, 2025. Hangman started the show with a squash match. Post-match, MJF came out and talked some trash, and Christopher Daniels appears on the Tron, busted open. So MJF just did a number on him, then came out to talk that trash. Hangman rushes to the back, attends to Christopher Daniels, and then he's on track to try to find MJF. I thought that was really good. I love squash matches anyway. It makes the superstar be a legit superstar, not just 50-50 booked with another superstar to where everybody just looks average. No, jobber matches makes that one guy look and feel and be a superstar. That's the dude. That's him. That's average. And that's why the average guy gets his ass whooped. You don't get enough jobber matches. That's why superstars don't feel like they are anymore, man. Wrestlers don't feel larger than life or anything like that because they're not booked as such. They're in there with other top-notch wrestlers or other superstars, if you want to use the WWE term. But they're in there with other dudes doing the same thing, 50-50 booking, and when it's all said and done, the fans are like, nobody looks any better than the other. And if everybody's average, then nobody's special. So I actually like that opening. Ospreay battling the Callis fam in the crowd. This was actually, who was it? Brian Keith? So it was like a Jericho. They kind of meshed Jericho and his crew with the Callises, I guess, right? And then Ospreay defeats Brian Keith, and then afterwards, I think it was the Callis family that was up in the skybox. Ospreay just catapults through the crowd up there. You never see that. I thought he was going to go like a little bit and then stop. He just starts rushing up there. They start brawling in section 206. I was like, all right. Well, it started in 201, went up to 2. I think it actually reached 213. They just started brawling. That was actually pretty good, man. I thought he was going to stop, and he was like, no, I'm going right up to the skybox. Then Ricochet, just super annoying promo. I don't know if there's individuals more annoying than Ricochet, and that's why the heel run might work, or at least has a chance to, because he knows he's annoying. That's why he does the little laugh at the end of his promos. He knows how annoying he is, man. He's got his little suit with his pocket protector, the little golden C. He looks like a substitute teacher. He's got a backwards hat on, Nana's robe. I mean, looks like a dweeb, sounds like it's super nerdy, annoying. I mean, I guess that's all the reasons that so many people cannot stand Rico. So that maybe it'll work. But it doesn't get away from the fact that him on the mic, man. Wow, it's rough. Like nails on a chalkboard, man. So he's given words to Swerve and Nana in the ring. Sets up the match, the rematch with them. Nana gives an ultimatum to Swerve. Nana's like, dude, you got to restore my... Dude, he's got my robe, dude. Like, this is good. Dude's clowning me. You know what I mean? Like he's telling Swerve, this is it, man. Like, I did what I could for you, but you got to help me out here. So I kind of like that dynamic between Swerve and Nana. Just saying Nana. It's Nana. For anybody that doesn't watch the show, man. Nana. Anyway, the Outrunners defeated Archer and Cage. That's questionable, man. I don't know about this, and I'll tell you why. Because, and again, I wasn't able to watch the whole show. And I'm a little in and out with all the stories or lack thereof in AEW, just like WWE. But isn't Archer and what the hell's the other guy? Brian Cage. Aren't they in line for the Hurt Syndicate, that matchup? I mean, that's the big title match coming up, right? Or that's what I had thought going into last night. And I didn't catch enough of the show last night to make sure that was the case or to truly find out. But I thought that's the match that they're setting up. Hurt Syndicate versus Archer and Cage. Which, by the way, I'm not for because it's heels versus heels. They want you to like Hurt Syndicate more, but it's the same thing WWE's doing. So no heel can truly out-heel the other heels. Or if they do, what's that saying for the other two? So I'm not for that anyway, but that's what I had thought was the match. So why would you take Archer and Cage? That should be beasts right now if you're going up against Syndicate. You got to get your fans ready for that, right? You got to book them properly. Why would the Outrunners be? And I like the Outrunners. It's a throwback to the 80s, so I'm down with that team. But why would they be beating Archer and Cage when Archer and Cage have this big title match with Syndicate coming up? That makes no sense. And guys, if you were wondering, I believe it was a fruit roll-up that pinned these beasts. A fruit roll-up. You could say distraction all you want, but you see, there was a reason. No, what? And the distraction was on the heels? Shouldn't that be the flip that? The heels beat the faces via distraction. Everything's ass backwards. I didn't like that at all. And Cassidy and what MJF used to take a shitta to shitta. Take a shitta. Him and Cassidy, in all seriousness, they had a wild main event. It was really good, guys. Like the women, they didn't save Raw because Raw was so bad, but those ladies just rocked out that main event on Monday night. Liv, Raquel, Naomi, and Belair. Takesha and Pockets, freshly squeezed orange juice Cassidy. Man, that was a good main event. And Cassidy was beat. I thought there was many times Cassidy was taking that matchup, but that was it. No real storyline after that. No cliffhanger, and it's just a missed opportunity, man. You have such a good main event. Have a big rocking cliffhanger moment to end that show. Get everybody truly talking. Because AEW needs that right now. The ratings are so in the toilet. They really need that buzz. They need that cliffhanger. Not it would be nice. They need it. And Tony just decided to go with the match, the winner, and that's it. Taz recently put out a post. Taz was saying, guys, I know it's fun as fans to compare WWE wrestlers and AEW wrestlers. I totally get it, he says. But just remember, guys, you're arguing cats and dogs. It's two completely different mindsets, two different visions, two different companies, yada, yada, yada. Dude, you're pro wrestling. Stop. You're a professional wrestling show on a cable network, and you're putting out wrestlers that are supposed to be larger than life, but with characters, and you have storylines, whether they're good or not, whether they change all the time, okay, but you're putting out storylines. You're having matches like Hobbs and Big Cass last week. Big Bill, right? Street fight. You're pro wrestling, man. You're an entertainment wrestling show. You're not just about wrestler A, wrestler B, let's find out who the best is. No, you're not. So Taz, of course they're going to compare. What else are you going to compare it to? It's the closest thing to WWE because they have the big cable deal, primetime television every Wednesday night, Saturday night. So of course people are going to. What else are they comparing it to? The local bingo hall, Luigi Lugnuts, Danny Dipshit Dugenheimer. Who else are they going to compare it to? Handjob Holly. So I don't understand what Taz. What AEW needs to do is just, that's it. Yeah, you had a good main event. That's great. But the cliffhanger, that's where you have to draw everybody in, man. It should be, what is everybody talking about? Did you see how the show ended? That's what AEW needs desperately. You can't just have Pockets win and that's it. Or Takeshita, You can't just have him win and that's it. But that's what they did. I can only try to help so much, man. BC, it'll be fine. Yes, as all the ratings across the board continue to drop, and I'm the only one going, hey, not only does it need to be changed, but I have the answers for you. I give my audience the answers. It looks like Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Tony Khan and the suits and ties, they need to be front row of the audience from now on. I think they have to be front and center of the audience. We need to teach them how to run proper wrestling shows. That's what I got for you guys, man. Amped up to 27-25. Until next time, there will be that next time. 44 Dive. That's a wrap. Check you. Salute.